Australia's in a housing crisis. The solution is building up, not out, and it's shaping to be a battle for our city suburbs.
Are the streets going to be able to handle the extra movements, not just car traffic, but other movements as well? Is the infrastructure there for it?
The fact that we're in a crisis today is as a result of the inaction and inactivity, and we now need to take action rather rapidly.
In response, last month, National Cabinet backed an overhaul of planning laws to fast-track housing development approvals.
Promoting medium and high-density housing in well-located areas close to existing public transport connections, amenities and employment, and streamlining approval pathways.
The federal government's target is to build 1.2 million homes in 5 years. It's dangling $3 billion in cash bonuses to states and territories that build more homes than they've committed to.
This will incentivise states and territories to undertake the reforms which are necessary to boost housing supply and increase housing affordability.
But exactly how state governments will turn that idea into a reality is still being thrashed out. Suburbs like Box Hill, about 20 kilometres east of Melbourne CBD, are ahead of the game.
We're not making more land, so the only way is up, but we've got to do it in the appropriate way. We're elected to do a job for our community.
The local Liberal Party Mayor Mark Lane says development here took off a decade ago. The population has more than doubled in the past 2 decades. When will this be finished?
So the smaller 2 towers are close to finishing, and the taller one should be finished around about the end of the year.
Down at ground level, sales staff were keen to talk up the high level of interest in their 3-tower mixed-use project.
So welcome to our
Hello. Have you sold many of the apartments?
So 80% sold already. Yeah, so we almost sold out.
And who is buying these apartments?
So 90% of the local buyers and 10% is overseas buyers.
With federal government cash up for grabs, New South Wales has flagged allowing higher and denser development if developers commit to setting aside 15% for affordable housing.
This will result in more affordable housing entering the market and more supply overall.
There's been a misalignment between state government objectives and the local council objectives. It's always easier to say no to change, especially when you don't understand what change means.
It's a great area, isn't it? Yes, it's a really fantastic area.
Sydney developer Fabrizio Pirelli plans to build an 11-storey building at the former Balmain Leagues Club. With the cost of construction going up, he says subsidising affordable housing isn't easy or clear.
There are some definitions. There's obviously a social component. There's also the key worker housing component. The key worker housing component is roughly a 25% discount to the market prices that can be achieved in a local area, whereas the social component is a greater discount to that. But again, it would be good for there to be absolute clarity in regards to those definitions, but that's how the industry operates today.
Here, even with a 25% discount on the sale price, affordable housing would still be out of reach for most.
Yeah, look, the 2-bedroom apartment in Balmain on market would probably be around the $2 million mark, and you're right. From an affordability perspective, that you would say that is not quite in that realm.
While in Victoria, the state government has signalled its intention to seize more planning decisions from councils and bypass community objections.
To have part-time councillors making decisions to turn, say, farmland into a new suburb where you are talking about vast amounts of money, there's clearly a risk that things can go wrong there.
It was a bit disappointing.
Local councils aren't happy. Mark Lane says the state government already has call-in powers, recently seizing planning control of a 7-tower development in Box Hill.
Planning reform isn't just about housing, it's about the community. So for us, it's let's work through it together. Don't take it away from us because we've been doing it for a long time.
In the Melbourne inner-city suburb of Brunswick, semi-retired planning expert Rod Duncan says developers often don't have a long-term commitment to the area. He believes councils play an important role in taking local residents' concerns into account when making planning decisions.
If things aren't balanced in the public interests and the interests of the established population being reasonably accommodated, the community will react to the point that they will arc up. There will not just be the occasional NIMBY, there'll be a backlash saying this isn't good enough, stop. And that gives us a big problem. And that'll be based probably not upon some philosophical position, but it'll be based upon everyday life becoming more difficult, less convenient, access problems, etc., diminishing people's standard of living in a way that's not expected and not accepted.
Rod Duncan's also concerned the centralisation of planning powers could lead to a developer's picnic in states like Victoria, which still allows them to make political donations.
In other states, New South Wales for example, for over a decade that's been illegal for donations to state and local government decision makers. That leaves Victoria with an integrity challenge. It's very difficult to say we're accepting money off somebody but we're really not. There's no expectation of favours or particular interest or attention coming the other way.
Do you like the flowers?
I love them, darling.
Down the road, this young family say they are living proof of high-density development done right. They moved into this apartment block last year, built by Nightingale, which describes itself as a not-for-profit.
I just love to be in suburbs where there's stuff going on, so moving further out wasn't really an option for us, to be honest. Do you want to put it in your room?
Mm-hmm.
Their two-bedroom apartment cost about $720,000.
Should we put it on your desk or up on the shelf?
We do find now that we pay, even after all the interest rate rises, about 15% of our household income on mortgage repayments, and I kind of shudder to think what we'd be paying had we bought, a big house, in this location.
It's already out.
It's not without sacrifice. There are no car parks and residents share communal space, including a laundry.
We all go upstairs, and that also encourages community. Conversation, spirit, it's really great. Yummy? We cut up an apple for you as well.
They say for the growing number of families who can't afford to buy a house, apartment living is the only way out of renting.
I was raised in a house that loves Tim Winton and grew up reading Cloud Street and that dream of the beautiful big old house, close to the city and everything else. I'd be lying if I said I maybe didn't grieve just a little bit that's gotten out of reach for my generation. We're all enriched by coming together as a community and making heaps of new friends. So it's maybe even something better than what we thought we'd lost.